Okay, we're live.
There you go.
Travis T.S. Ransdell, author of the Last Marine trilogy. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, Kevin?
I'm uh I'm pretty good, man. I just saw Oppenheimer.
Did you? How'd you like it?
3 hours long. Didn't look
Mhm.
at my watch one time. There were certain scenes in there that I tensed up. Like, did you ever see Dunkirk? His Dunkirk?
Oh yeah, I've seen Dunkirk.
That movie, it starts with it with the stopwatch and doesn't it's the whole movie is a stopwatch and I'm
Yeah,
tense. There are scenes in
tick tick
there.
tick sound.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there were scenes in there I was like, "Oh, it's a marvelous." In fact, I just did like a little preview or a little review. Try to get on YouTube as fast as I can. Um, Marvelous. The script is amazing.
Mhm.
It's about. You're gonna laugh. It's about Oppenheimer, and I don't mean the atomic bomb. I mean the man.
Yeah.
And it's a marvelous, marvelous look at people. At I don't want to say people under stress. It's about him. He's got big ambitions for himself. He's naive to the world, to his settings, to the government, and oh boy, it's amazing. He creates something amazing, but he doesn't realize he's opened a Pandora's box. And
Hmm.
yeah, the first two acts are amazing. The third act is literally a mystery, unraveling, and uh, uh, gosh, Robert Downey Jr. is in it. Amazing. He's
I
so
yeah, I didn't in that. Huh.
your boy Jason Bourne. What's his name? Not Ben Affleck.
Oh, Matt Damon.
He's great. Oh, he plays General Hargrove. Oh,
Uh-huh.
he's really good in it. Yeah, he's a real asshole. No, really, really enjoy the movie. I probably see it again, but you know what it is? You would like it. It's an adult movie. It's not a movie
Mhm.
for adolescents. I mean, like adult adolescents. It's about men, real people, and
Mhm.
stress. And there's some dude. There's just some great lines. One was I'm paraphrasing. Important is not the same as being self-important. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Being
yeah.
important, it's not the same as self-important. But the one that really stuck out with me from the beginning was genius does not equate to wisdom.
Mm.
Genius does
Yeah.
not equate to wisdom. And you see that with Oppenheimer. He's a very smart man, but he does not know the people around him.
It's not wise. Yeah. Doesn't
Yeah.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I've done. I had a podcast this morning with a guy who wrote the Hype Handbook, published in McGraw Hill. It's a
Mhm.
marketing. Well, he would hate if I say marketing. It's marketing on steroids. Had a great
Mhm.
conversation with him. Saw the movie, and now I'm got ready for this, and we're doing it. How about you?
Yeah.
How's your day been?
Oh, I had a big Costco adventure. It's kind of a weekly or bi-weekly ritual for me and my wife.
Well,
So
you
yeah,
did text me a picture of that great Halloween dude,
oh
which is
yeah, the thing's like 15 feet tall, and the eyes are computer eyes, so the eyes look around. I saw that, and I thought of you. That looked like something you would dig, you know.
I would
So
totally put that in my office, have him leaning over the wall staring at me.
you put it out your front yard.
Yeah, yes. Did you see that? God, there's some lady, was it in Michigan? She's got like a 15-foot werewolf that she keeps up all year round, and she puts like a 4th of July stuff on them, Christmas stuff on them, Thanksgiving stuff, and the neighborhood loves it. But people, I think that the HOA is really pissed at her. The city's pissed at her, but the neighborhood
Yeah,
likes it.
the neighborhood likes it. That kind of
Yeah,
surprises me.
yeah.
Yeah,
They're like, yeah, it's a werewolf. Why not?
because everybody's got to have something, right?
Exactly, exactly.
I don't know. I got a neighbor with a rooster. I think I'd rather have a fake werewolf in his yard.
A rooster, huh?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Wake up around 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning.
are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Well, you're living on old school. You're living the old school way, man. We gotta get you a donkey next and a
Well, I've already
cart.
got the covered wagon, so the mule and
So for the audience here, we're just this is called Jibber-Jabbing. Travis and I sometimes we'll go to there's an office downtown, Galvanize. Sometimes we'll meet up. We'll go down there. We'll get there what at 7 a.m. Get some
yeah. Usually we're there at 7. Yeah.
yeah, crank up a pot of coffee and we jibber jab for like 2 hours, a little more
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. So that's a great way to start the day, get caffeinated. And I always find my discussions with you become a nice mental warm up, before
Same
I get
here.
into work. So yeah, we usually have some pretty interesting discussions. So
Okay, so the whole goal of this, let's talk what we're reading, what we're watching, what we're doing.
uh,
What's so right? Okay, so book 3 is already published. It's on Amazon.
yeah,
Uh,
trilogies. Yeah, the Last Marine series.
so what? How's the reception on book 3?
It's been good. Yeah, naturally, I think most people who've read it have read 1 and 2. I think it's logical to assume they liked 1 and 2. Otherwise, why would they read 3? Uh, but no, I mean, most people have liked it. It's been well rated. It's been well received. A lot of veterans like it. I hear a lot from them. They left good reviews, leave me comments on Facebook. I get emails, and no, a lot of people are asking for a book 4. They're hoping there's going to be a book 4. I mean, I'm not 100% committed to saying no, but I've told you, I think the story's done. I got to really, I like where I left it, and I just don't want to be recycling stuff out there, just for the sake of repeating kind of the same story. I've seen a lot of other books do that, and that's great for genre novels where they've got, like a series of, 15 or 20. But I don't know. I just don't see that for this story. If I really thought I came up with something that would be good, that would really add to it, that would further the story, uh, I'd do it. If I really thought I could improve the series. But I don't know. Like I said, I like where I left it, so I'll probably just be leaving it there. As you know, I've been
Good.
working. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of reading into Marine Corps history and looking at getting into another series. And this summer, I've also been working on a series of workbooks, journals, primarily aimed at kids 8 through 12. But I mean, you could get somebody younger, somebody older if they wanted to use it. So good for a homeschool crowd or even traditionally schooled kids. I think it'd be good supplemental work or something like that.
Well, you
So,
showed me one of the book of questions, right?
or I'll show you. I got one. Happen to have one right behind me.
Oh,
Yeah, the
oh, look at
Book of
that.
Answers.
Oh, the book of
And
answers. Oh, look at that.
yeah, oh thanks. Yeah, I was very
Wow.
pleased with how that turned out. I did the graphics, I did the interior, everything on my own. And the idea behind the Book of Answers, um, it was something that my wife had been doing. My wife and I homeschool, and well, I say we homeschool. She does carry the brunt of that end of the work, but I do some work with the boys too. But it was kind of her idea to come up like when the boys have a question, why does the sun rise in the east or set in the west or whatever? Instead of just giving them an answer and kind of trying to just get through it, muddle our way through it, let them find out, let them research it, developing the research skills, finding out why do you want to know this? Well, how can you find out? Figuring out how to answer questions like that themselves, right? And so that's what I do in this book. We work together on the prompts, and then I put together. I kind of executed the the physical product, but it keeps track of books that you or sources rather that you use. What are you using to find answers? What is your question? Why do you want to know this question? How are you going to find out what you discover in the process, and then how you can use that information? And then at the end, kind of as a little self-reflection over once you fill in all the entries, you can look back on it and say, what does this tell me about myself? What do I think? What do I like to learn? How do I like to learn? What do I think I might want to do with this information? Get them thinking about ideas for careers, what they enjoy, like I said, how they like to learn, how they tend to think, get to know themselves with the idea that enables them to be able to teach themselves and not just kind of mindlessly fumble through things and getting it done like a check mark on a curriculum, like getting through school. but actually learning things that you want to learn, figuring out how to learn them, and then thinking of how you can use that information to help others, to help yourself, to earn a living, something like that.
Oh, I
So yeah,
love
that's
that.
the idea behind the book of answers.
Oh, that's such a
So
great way to learn how to start doing critical thinking. Just be able to dissect and really understand the process, the methodology. I love that.
yeah, well, thinking critically, and I think that but thinking critically about yourself for the sake of enhancing yourself. A lot of people don't even know what they think. So a lot of people don't even know what they feel, let alone what they think. You
Yeah.
know? And I noticed that, yeah, I used to teach, I taught high school for 11 years. And that was something I noticed that was sorely lacking in students that come into high school. They do not think critically, they do not know how to think analytically. Uh, a lot of them are just seem like they've been programmed for regurgitation. And I remember I used to assign books. They'd have to read books and then write a 2-page review over it. And it was intended to be a short critical analysis of the book and what they liked, what they didn't like. And a lot of times the answers I would get for, why did you like this book? And I remember it was on the Holocaust in World War II. And a girl written, no, she didn't like it because the Holocaust made her sad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I
Wow.
understand, understandable, but yeah, that's not really a critical analysis of the book.
No, it's
As a
not.
history, yeah, I taught history, so it's supposed to be a critical analysis, learning the history, learning a bit of historiography, and to critically analyze somebody's work and the data collected and how it's presented. And that just teaching that there were some students that were very good at it. There are a lot of probably the significant portion of students, it was like beating my head in the wall, you know. And then there's that other portion. I got to spend all my time trying to figure out what source they'd copied a lot of it from, because especially on the internet, there's a lot of cut and pasting that goes on in school papers. So
I saw something today that you just reminded me of it. I was laugh. I laughed. I don't know if it's laughter of the future of humanity or of just laughed at how dumb this guy was. But it was a Rotten Tomatoes review of Oppenheimer, and the movie's got great reviews, but there's always that one jackass or two who gives a negative review. Okay, fine, but one guy put, I mean, it was something to the effect where I felt like I was in the class. There's so many words being spoken in this movie.
ah,
I was like, that dude is made for Barbie. He's made for the Barbie movie, not for this
yeah,
one.
he should have gone to Barbie instead. Although
Oh,
I heard Barbie really, I guess, dominated on the preview night. What pulled in like 22 million or something like that.
I
Oppenheimer
heard
pulled in like 10.5 million.
I heard Oppenheimer did 10 million, and which was double the amount of the last Nolan movie on opening night. Well, opening night is, I mean, Thursday night, not Friday, Thursday night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the preview night. Yeah,
Okay. Oh, so Barbie did what, 20 million?
that's what. Yeah, I saw that on somebody else's YouTube. I think Ryan Kennel was talking about it pulled in like 22 million, 22, 23 million.
Yeah, I know. I've seen some reviews. I mean, it depends where you read. But I've seen some really ugly reviews about it. So I'm not gonna say I love Margot Robbie, but I won't watch her in that. I'll see something else.
It doesn't look like my kind of movie either. I'll rewatch like the Wild Geese on DVD or something.
Do you have, I have asked you this like 20 times. You don't have Netflix anymore, right?
No, I don't.
Okay. They just put out a 5-part series. It's so well done on American Gladiators. You remember that show?
Yeah,
From
yeah.
88
The
to like
90s
90.
or
It was late 90s, but it was about the originals, and it's really well done. Really well done. 5 episodes. A lot of fun. Netflix can have some really good shows sometimes. Sometimes.
they do. Yeah. I mean, basically I got rid of it. I think like a lot of people, I was just getting tired of it was like 20 some bucks a month at a 4K TV. So I'm wanting to pay. Yeah, I'm not gonna get a 4K television just so I could watch standard definition Netflix. So I'm paying like 20 plus dollars a month, and I would spend more time trying to find something to watch on Netflix than watching Netflix.
Yeah.
So yeah, we eventually dropped it, and now we get Apple TV, that subscription service, which is what, like $7 or $8 a month. And now they don't have the catalog or the libraries that Netflix does, but I don't. Yeah, there's more on there than I can watch right now, anyways. So, and I found it to be a pretty good shows and a lot less money.
You finished Silo, right?
I have not finished that yet. No, I think we've got two episodes left.
Okay, I got 7. All right, so I got to finish that. There's something else coming. There's that new it's a Scorsese movie that's an Apple movie that's coming out about Flowers of the Killer Moon it's about
Okay.
Robert De Niro's in it, Leonardo DiCaprio, about like 1920, I'm assuming in the teens, how
Hmm.
these white folks go to Oklahoma and the one dude marries into a American Indian family and they strike oil, and then the Indian family starts dying off, and I think that's how the FBI is one of the justifications for creating the FBI.
Okay.
Yeah,
Huh.
so that's a Apple movie, and
Hmm.
there's something else that's an Apple movie that's coming out. I mean,
Oh, isn't Napoleon an Apple movie?
yes, yes.
Yeah, that I'm looking forward to that one.
Ridley Scott, man. Oh man, guy
Yeah.
who did Gladiator. Wow.
Uh-huh.
Did he do the Russell Crowe one as well? The Master and Commander. Did he do that one?
I don't think so, but I don't say yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that. Maybe look
Yeah.
that one up. But yeah, I saw the yeah, we'll see how it goes, but watching the trailer for that, I thought that looked pretty good.
It's gonna be interesting because I love military tactics and strategy, but man, Napoleon is there were 7 coalitions against him, 7 international coalitions. That's a lot of battles. There's a lot of
That
battles
is.
in between.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, no, Peter Weir
Okay.
directed that.
Oh, okay, yeah, he did that. All right.
Try, what else? What else is I've been watching a lot of YouTube, and I found one series. God, I don't. I thought I texted to you one. I probably didn't. It was actually the Battle of Austerlitz, and it was computer graphics, and it shows you how Napoleon's forces fought against
Hmm.
what was it, the Austrians and the Russians. It's masterly done. Great storytelling. Probably 17 minutes. Look right
Oh,
now,
really? It's on YouTube.
Austerlitz battle. Let's see, because it's one of those here. It is. It's called Epic History TV. And for the viewers here, you got Epic History TV. They have some amazing battles. This is 18 minutes long. It gives you a little bit of background, but it also puts, the flags in the ground. You see the flags and the divisions moving, so you really see how the battle unfolds. It makes sense. It's coherent.
Huh. Yeah, send me the link to that. I'll check that out.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
Let me just make sure. Maybe you did a while back and I just didn't get to it. But anyway, yeah, send it to me again if you did.
Really enjoyed that one. Are you reading anything?
I've been reading. Where's that here? Yeah, a book called Old Gimlet Eye by Lowell. Excuse me, Lowell Thomas. It's a autobiography. Well, it's a autobiography that he wrote with Smedley Butler, the Marine Corps
Oh,
general. So yeah, and that's been an interesting book. Yeah, it kind of confused me at first because it's written in the first person, and my understanding was that it was a biography, not an autobiography. And so I was kind of baffled as to why is this guy writing as if he's Smedley Butler. So I'm wondering, well, then he's writing about like these thoughts? I thought, well, is this really history or is this a fiction? And okay, there, I got the link. Thanks. And anyway, but then I looked up more information on the book, and found out that I guess he wrote it, but was working with Smedley Butler on it. So then I was able to see the book in a different light. I appreciate it a lot more. But I have found that interesting. As you know, I've been reading about the Boxer Rebellion lately, and I was hoping to get a little more information out of that because Smedley Butler was involved in the Boxer Rebellion. Um, and he does talk about it. He gets really sick during the fight there, but kind of went through it a little faster, a little less detailed than what I was hoping. But I found the part where he gets into dealing in Honduras. He's in Panama when the canal's being built. He goes into Mexico. He's at Veracruz when the fighting's taking place there. And I've just finished up where he's fighting in Haiti in 1915. And he was part of the group where he was with, in fact, he's the one who wrote up Dan Daly for his Medal of Honor that he got fighting in Haiti.
Oh, wow.
So again, Smedley Butler's perspective on how Dan Daly had earned that. Yeah, it's where they're going through a jungle. They're ambushed. They've been flooded. There was like bad rain. Rivers were flooded. While they're trying to cross this river that was already perilous, they're like holding on to each other's horse. They're on horseback, so they're like holding on to the reins of their horse and the tail of the horse in front of them. They get ambushed, and I mean, a bad situation. They're crawling up the side of the bank of this river, getting in the jungle. Smedley Butler asked Dan Daly, who was his first sergeant on this mission, where the machine gun was at, and the horse was shot. They lost the machine gun. Oh. Smedley Butler said, "Oh, if we could really use that right now." So he's like organizing his company into three squads to fight, and he wants to keep moving because he talked about how he had learned in fighting in Nicaragua. It's not good in jungle fighting just to stay in one place and try to hold it, but to keep moving. So he wanted to keep moving. Dan Daly had disappeared, and he had enough other things going on. He wasn't thinking about it until Dan Daly showed up with the machine gun. So Dan Daly had gone back on his own while the fighting's going on. So he's slipping off back to the river in the middle of a battle, diving down, finding the horse that this machine gun had been attached on, gets the machine gun, brought back a bunch of ammo. I forget now if this is what Butler had said or if I'd read this in another book, but probably about roughly 200 pounds of gear that he lugs back through the jungle to this fight so they could use the machine gun.
Oh my God.
Fight. Yeah, just an incredible feat. Keep in mind, Dan Daly was about 5'6", 135 pounds. So he's not a huge man, and to be lugging back all that back into the battle. But Smedley Butler's talking about how Dan Daly was the fightingest Marine he'd ever met. This guy had some spunk, he had some fire in him, and
that's amazing.
The most catching his rendition of that firefight, that battle. It's probably been the most interesting part of the book for me so far.
Oh my gosh. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Wow. Man, so I talked to you like a month ago. We saw each other a month ago. You still had that book on you. So, okay. So is it an easy read, quick read, or?
I would not describe it as a quick read. I mean, it's not that long, and I haven't sat down. I often don't just sit down for hours every day. I'm often maybe getting 10, 15 minutes into it. Or when I take my boys to their CAP meeting, I'll sit down and read for a couple of hours. But it's only 200 pages long, but the copy I have is about 200 pages long, but the font is small. And that always makes slow reading for me because then it's tiny, and I'm not a fast reader anyway, not naturally a fast reader. And and I often stop and then think about what I've read for a little bit too. So. But no, I've enjoyed the book so far. So I'll probably be done with it in the next week. I think I've got 50 pages left or something.
I got here's my book, Lee, by Freeman. This is the guy who wrote that book, Lee's Lieutenants.
Yeah, that's a big book.
Well, it's 500. Actually, no, it's 590 pages. But the pages are kind of big though, and I guess it is. Yeah. This is the guy this came out in 1935. He was contracted to write a bio on Lee. Contracted for 75,000 words. It turned out he wrote over 1 million, 1.2 million, 4 volumes. He got the Pulitzer Prize. This is the gentleman who I told you before. He created the fog of war narrative. And oh, it is
Yeah.
amazing. It's literally you put you in this characters. For instance, Lee, you're actually in the saddle with him. I got to tell you, Travis, it's amazing when you read this because when you read a history book, for the audience, when you read a history book, you're like, okay, the Battle of Antietam, the Battle of Fredericksburg, the Battle of Chancellorsville. It's clear cut.
Mhm.
You know what's happening. Here, he takes you to Antietam. You see why Antietam happens because they're all searching for ammunition and food, but they don't know what's going to happen. They're like, oh my God, the Federals are coming. We have to merge and concentrate. What's this town called? It's called Sharpsburg. No,
Yeah.
Antietam off the Sharpsburg River, and then from that it's inconclusive. They march back south. They get more reinforcements, and next thing you know, it's Burnside, and they park off Fredericksburg. So you're seeing these battles right before and after they happen. You just don't know that's where the battle is. You're literally in the seat of Lee here. You're like, oh, what is this army doing? Why did they stop outside the river here? So it's amazing. I've now ended the war. He just surrendered Appomattox. I got to tell you something I did not know.
Mhm.
I never realized just how bad off the Army of Northern Virginia was. They were starving. A lot of the soldiers had no shoes, literally no shoes. They were marching
Yeah.
barefoot. Their horses were starving. They didn't have enough horses to carry all their wagon trains. Enormously short on ammunition, and a lot of their strategy was just survival, getting food, getting food. In fact, the whole campaign into Pennsylvania for Gettysburg, one of the big benefits was to get food because the
Yeah.
army had no provisions.
I think there was
So
a shoe factory in the area too. For
yes,
Gettysburg. Yeah, and a
yeah.
lot of them were getting distracted with that.
So
But I remember. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, 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 go.
I was going to say, you were talking about, the resources. I remember at Shiloh, that was a big factor of the battle there. They launched a successful surprise attack, and a lot of the Confederate soldiers broke off because they were eating the food abandoned by the Union forces because they had literally not eaten in 3 days.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so when you read this, it's absolutely amazing how the normal necessities of life, food, sleep, how it really matters and how it drives your decision making. And
Yeah.
when I was in class and I would teach American military history, I would try to describe, imagine going camping with your friends, except you don't come back for 3 months. You know, and it's like now imagine this: take 4 or 5 of your friends out there in your little group. Okay, now double it, 10 people. Now
Yeah.
imagine trying to keep 10 people in line. Oh, by the way, now double that, and imagine getting 100 people, 1,000 people together. Where do you go to the bathroom? Where do you eat? How do you know? How do you get everyone from point A to point B to make sure people aren't lost? I mean, it really
Yeah.
puts the trials in perspective when you read this kind of stuff.
Well, especially getting the fog of war point of view. How often do you learn something and you think, oh, that's kind of crazy. Why they do this? Why they do that? But we're always looking back at it with hindsight. And when you try to look at it really from their perspective, what they knew at the time, not knowing or knowing what they did not know, you can understand why there's some of their hesitancy. It's easy once you have all the facts to say, oh yeah, what the right answer is. But when you
Oh,
don't know,
especially after Gettysburg, where when Grant is given command of the Army of the Potomac, and they have what they call, it's called what the Spring Campaign. That's where they go. That's what's bloody battles of the wilderness of North Anna, of Spotsylvania, of Cold Harbor. He puts you in the shoes of Lee. Lee's like, oh my God, they got this army. Lee's got what, like 65,000 soldiers, and Grant probably has at his disposal at least over 150 at least,
yeah,
just right there. And as they're moving, an army has like left and right arms, left and right wings, and only when that army's in front of you and you can count the bodies, like, oh, that's this division. So Lee could see what was happening. But in the morning, the enemy right wing was there, but the left was gone. And Lee was like, they're moving, they're moving, they're moving by the left. And so he would say, where's the next crossroads? North Anna. And then he would put the orders by night, everyone moved North Anna and start defending. And son of a bitch, he'd get there an hour before the Union arrived. He did it
Yeah.
4 times, predicting where Grant would go. But again, there's no call. We're leaving. You have to have spotters out there, like, hey, those troops.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there would be times where the Union would be just shooting off rifles and playing music, and Lee, he these reports. He's like, it's a demonstration. They're hiding something. I mean, it's amazing, that had that kind of intuition.
Yeah. Well, he stayed about half step ahead of Grant that whole way down to Petersburg.
Yes.
And yeah, you're right. To have that kind of intuition to accurately predict. Well, was it Sun Tzu wrote about, if anyone who knows himself and knows his enemy is guaranteed success. And well, Grant ultimately Lee didn't win, but he was pretty good at knowing himself and his enemy, and
Oh
knowing
yeah.
what they were capable of.
I think Shelby Foote once quoted him about Lee. It was after I think it was after Hooker was fired and they put Meade in. I think Shelby Foote quoted Lee as saying, he's like, I'm afraid Lincoln's gonna put someone in there that I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm thoroughly enjoying this book. The war is over with now. He has surrendered, and like, what happens when you surrender? What happens? Well, it shows you. He gets on his horse. He goes back to his troops. Basically says goodbye. They have to hand their weapons in, and now he goes back to his place at Appomattox. One thing I did not know, maybe you knew this, I did not. Arlington Cemetery. Arlington.
Oh yeah.
They stole it from Lee. That was Robert E. Lee's place.
Yeah, that was his home. So yeah, he had to figure out where he was going to go after the war was over. Because they'd taken over his house and made a cemetery out of it. So,
it's amazing. Yeah.
An insult to him, but I don't know about I think from what I know about Lee, I don't think nobody'd like to lose their home, but I can't imagine he would be bothered by the fact of American servicemen, war dead, being buried there.
Oh no.
Yeah, that'd been his house, and that was kind of the Union's way of trying to take a dig at him by using it as a cemetery during the war.
One of his sons died. One of his daughters died of sickness. One of his sons captured in the war. His wife was dying during the war, and they've been made homeless. So he's carrying all this stuff on his shoulders as he's fighting. It's I had no clue. It's a marvelous biography, and the fact that he doesn't put you in the mind of Lee, he puts you around Lee, and you have the words that he said, given all the letters that were exchanged. But man, here's just one little fact that this is insane. Almost a year to the day where Stonewall Jackson was shot and killed at Chancellorsville in May of 1863. Almost a year to the day in May of 1864, Longstreet is wounded and almost killed in the wilderness next to Chancellorsville, like a mile from the same spot.
Huh.
Insane.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing how many like little coincidences or like little quirks, whatever you want to call them, take place in the Civil War? I mean, like that, like Longstreet being wounded about a year later, or the war starting and ending, roughly at about about almost exactly 4 years.
Oh yeah. But there's that one guy. I forgot his name. He had a house at Bull Run near the river.
Yes, and then he moved
away from the war to a place called Appomattox.
Yes,
and it was at his home that they signed the surrender of Northern Virginia.
Yeah, what kind of a coincidence is that? It's amazing.
It is crazy.
Yeah, it is. You're talking about like Antietam and all that was being done there just on the Confederates' part, just to leave their plans behind, rolled up around some cigars that somebody found. How different would the battle have been had Meade not gotten those battle plans?
It's so crazy. This is a lesson I could have really. This would have been great to teach officers when I was in the Army, because the only reason that battle plan was discovered was, if I remember right, when the plan was made, there's only a certain amount of copies made, given to each general. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, it might have been like A.P. Hill. I don't think people thought A.P. Hill had a copy. So they made an extra copy. They gave it to him. APL had a copy, so he gave it to one of his lieutenants, like his chief of staff. And he goes, "Hey, the general's got it. I'll just wrap my cigars in this thing."
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It is. Yeah, accountability.
Oh. So, okay. So once you're finished with your book now, what's you got another book on the docket, on the line, ready to read next?
I've got another one on the Boxer Rebellion, but I've also got one that you'd recommended to me, the Rule of the Waves by Arthur Herman.
Oh yes. Here's my
Fact,
copy,
yeah,
my untouched copy.
Yeah. So, and that looks interesting. But I'm reading a lot of kind of early American Marine Corps, early Marine Corps history. I guess by early, I'm looking at like around from that 1900 up to World War One. Like I said, I've been reading about the Boxer Rebellion, and then reading Smedley Butler's history. I've heard of these battles, but there's actually quite a bit going on for someone who had kind of avoided. He was in World War One, but he didn't do much in World War One. If I remember, I think he commanded a hospital. But the guy had already had a couple of Congressional Medals of Honor, as had Dan Daly, and had been involved in a lot of combat between the Spanish-American War and World War One. So there's a lot of like little wars or undeclared wars that are taking place that the United States is involved in at that time. And it's something that I've known about, but it's one of those things that, you read about like maybe a paragraph in a book when you're studying about like bigger wars or a broader concept of history. So I've been getting to some of the details of that. And I think there's some good history there, good material to work with for future Marine Corps novels. So that's what I'm looking at now.
I got I'm trying to remember, what book was it. I think it's called Making of the Generals. It's a history of the generals prior to World War II, of the big ones like Eisenhower, Marshall. And if I remember right, there was a time, it was in the 20s, or it might have been in the late 20s or maybe early 30s, and probably late 20s. Eisenhower, I swear to God, he goes to Central America. I think there's stuff happening down there in Central America, and he's a colonel down there, and he meets oh man, I'm drawing a blank. It's a general officer who becomes really almost his mentor. He meets him down there, but it's funny, you mentioned all these little wars, all these little skirmishes and stuff. Like, I had no clue, but yeah, we had a presence everywhere. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, we often, at least for me, I often tend to think that is a phenomena of modern America, modern United States. I mean, ever since I've been born, we seem to have had troops somewhere kind of engaged more or less in something. Apparently that started long before I was born. Started with the Spanish-American War, especially after, by then we'd already had settled our frontier, and the United States, of course, the rest of the world is building empires. And the United States is starting to look at being involved in things more internationally. Smedley Butler, I was reading about this, talked about being in Mexico. He's kind of in there covertly. I want to say it's around 1912, 1913, just before World War One. And he's in there. He's talking about how the U.S. government didn't care for who had been elected president of Mexico, and I forget the guy's name. And that they thought there could be a possible confrontation. So he went in civilian clothes, kind of posing at times either as a like a travel writer or some kind of like a railroad representative or something like that, and traveled through the country, just kind of taking notes of fortifications, troop numbers that he sees, and this sort of thing. And of course, he ends up later fighting in Veracruz. In fact, he described Veracruz as the toughest fighting they'd been in since China.
Really?
It was street to street fighting, house to house fighting in Veracruz. And he talked about how the sailors that were fighting, the U.S. sailors, took a lot more casualties than the Marines on their side of the street as they're working their way through the town. The sailors were going from door to door. So the Marines took the tactic of going through the walls. they'd take a house and then just burst walls into the next building and take it that way and kill whatever snipers were up in the rooftops and that sort of thing. Again, this is kind of the sort of thing I tend to think of more as, it's just my misperception, my own ignorance. I tend to think that more as a trait of modern warfare. You think of warfare 100 plus years ago. I always would think of like traditional battlefields, like somehow it was all clear cut. And that's not always the case. They were dealing with a lot of these kind of little tiny wars, civilians shooting at them from rooftops and stuff like that. I think a big difference is that when they found these guys, they just generally would kill them, and the government was comfortable with letting them just go in there if they're getting shot at. If American troops are being shot at, they're comfortable just letting them go in there and kill who they need to kill, and then they move on. And but no, I bring that up because with Veracruz, Smedley Butler talked about how the British and the Germans have a presence there also. And he knew something was up with World War I because, like, one morning in August 1914, the British and the German ships were gone. They were pulling out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there were rumors. There were rumors that were being talked about, and then just all of a sudden, the British and German ships were gone out of the area.
Oh man!
And so the Germans and the British were also trying to have an influence in Mexico. And I can imagine that's probably a lot of the influence for the United States being concerned, keeping an eye on the situation, not wanting European powers to control a neighboring country. The Monroe Doctrine,
Yeah. When I read that biography on Cortez, there a couple of times where they were fighting inside the capital of Tenochtitlan. And you talk about urban combat. I mean, their Spaniards with swords, but you got the Aztecs throwing rocks, throwing flammable bombs. And if I remember right, I swear, Travis, that they were talking about busting holes and walls and traveling from building to building. I don't know if you do two things. You're going to laugh. One is Cortez had his guys make a tank in the city. A tank. It was remember, like a Roman tortoise with the shields.
Oh yeah, okay.
But this, if I remember right, you could have horses underneath it with soldiers. But if I remember right, the Aztecs threw so much crap on the ground that they couldn't traverse it, or they couldn't move it.
I know that fight got really nasty for them. They're like trying to cross bridges to get out of the city.
Yeah, the causeways, and the Aztecs would rip them up in the morning. The Spaniards would have their Indian allies fill it in so they could cross it. But the other thing you're going to laugh at, I saw this fact. I don't remember reading it in the book, but I saw this fact. The Spaniards were not known to be the best engineers. Now, from this fact, but both the Spanish and Aztec records show that one day during the siege of Tenochtitlan, where Cortez and his men are surrounded, the Spaniards built a trebuchet, one trebuchet, and they fired it straight up, and it came down and destroyed the trebuchet. And apparently, it's both the Spanish records and the Aztecs record mentioned the one famous shot of the Spanish trebuchet.
Oh boy, I bet that guy caught some flack, huh? Put him in charge of the latrines or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, but in city fighting, no. Ugh. That's funny you mentioned Veracruz, because Veracruz, that was the first, if to my knowledge, the first American amphibious landing in American history. Because General Winfield Scott, during the Mexican-American War, landed at Veracruz, and who was with him was Robert E. Lee.
Captain,
Major Robert E. Lee.
Of course, that'd have been 60 years before Smedley Butler, but
God, what? 1846, 1847, something like that.
70 years earlier, but
that's Veracruz. Wow, that's interesting. So that's fascinating that Veracruz would have that kind of history of foreign invaders at that particular city.
Yeah, like I said, it's one of those things you really like. You take your typical world history class or even American history class, you're not gonna get that.
No.
At the most is a sentence in a textbook.
Yes. But, any movies, any shows, anything worth watching?
Oh man, I saw. I think I told you. A text message. I saw The Sound of Freedom was about 2 weeks ago when that came out. The first weekend it was out, and I liked the movie. I mean, very dark topic. You know, you don't come out. It's not like a feel good type of film, but it's a dark but incredible story. What these people did, how they are getting these kids back. This Tim Ballard. I mean, his work is just very admirable for what he did, what he does, and the way the movie was made. I was really impressed with the writing of it, the way they put the story together. I mean, this is a dark topic that a lot of people aren't going to want to know a lot of detail about, and it's very difficult, I think, in a story. But often, it's what makes the difference of a good story is when you can kind of imply things without having to directly state them, and your audience knows exactly what it means without having to say it or show it. Older movies, I think tend to be better at this than newer movies. You know, newer movies, I mean, nothing's taboo on the screen anymore. You know what I'm saying? They'll say anything. They'll even do anything, you know, on a movie screen. You watch older movies, they still try to get across some very adult, very what we might call like adult issues or something like that. Very dark issues, but they don't want to be graphic about it. So they try to imply things, insinuate things to get that across. You saw that. I thought you saw that technique used very well in The Sound of Freedom. They're really dealing with just some nasty, and we're talking about just vile, wicked people and very heinous acts that I thought never took it too far. They never made it too graphic. But still could take it up to a point that it left no doubt as to what was happening, the way these children are being abused, and just kind of the sickness, the evil that's involved here. And I thought too, the way they put that together in a story, but still made it a movie. You know, family could watch this movie. I took my sons to it. Of course, the youngest is 11, so I don't know if really little kids would. Yeah, I don't know. They probably, they need to be aware of this sort of thing because they're often the victims of it, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I know it's had a lot of buzz lately. A lot of people are raving about it. It's done really well at the box office. I'd say understandably so. I think it deserves all the accolades it's getting. No, I thought it was a good movie.
There's one thing to go back what you were talking about. There's a tactic I heard. John Carpenter did it with the movie The Thing. Remember The Thing from 1982?
Yeah, Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a tactic that he used. I think it's called "Don't Show the Devil." Meaning, you insinuate. You don't need to show the monster, the thing. Just you show the aftermath or things that lead to it.
Yeah. Well, you know, the first part of Jaws is like that. I think that was because the mechanical shark had broken down. But, you know, talk about fortuitous accidents, because that's really creepy. That first part of the movie, you're not seeing the shark. You just see like the camera angle and the music and the murky water. And yeah, it sends chills down your spine, you know. I remember as a kid, it terrified me. I would get spooked going in the pool after I saw that movie.
That's such a great movie, but God, how many sharks have died because of that damn movie? You know? Oh man, that movie is like it's like arachnophobia. It did not make anyone friends of the spider.
No. Well, you know, I have no desire to cuddle with sharks anyway. So.
What was that? I found the movie. Now, I don't know if you'll appreciate it. I think I would. It's called Revenge of Billy the Kid. And Billy the Kid is a monster goat. Apparently, it's a movie in Ireland, and the guy has sex with a goat, and its kid comes out part demon, and it destroys the town. So it's Billy the Kid. Can you see that?
Yeah. I'll probably miss that one. I'll let you tell me about it, okay?
I could do
Uh,
some schlock. I could do some serious movies and some schlock. Why not, right?
yeah. Well, no, you're still. We were talking about Silo earlier, so you haven't finished that yet either. Or?
I have 7. I stopped at 3 because it kept going, but I need to finish it. Is it worth finishing,
Yeah.
you think?
Well, I don't know yet. Like so, we I think we got what episodes 9 and 10 left, and I'll be honest with you, for what I thought, I mean, they really set the story up well. I was really intrigued. And then I feel like around episode 3 or maybe it was 4, I just felt like it hit a wall
Oh,
and really slowed down. And I don't know. I've had trouble finding the motivation to even kind of. Part of me, I want to finish it, but there's times where like, oh, I'm tired and I'm going to bed. You
oh,
know,
that
as
sucks.
opposed to like, yeah. So I don't know. Well, maybe we'll get in this weekend, but yeah, I've been a little disappointed. Maybe. Well, I've seen that. I noticed it with a lot of series that I stream on various channels. It's like they start out like episodes 1 and 2 are really good. Then about the next 6 episodes are really boring that don't advance the story at all. But then episodes 9 and 10 or whatever the last 2 episodes, then they kind of it's like they pick the story up again and then finish it up. So I don't know why that seems to be a trait of streaming movies, the streaming services, like a Netflix movie or something like that, where they have maybe about 4 hours of story, but they want to give you about 8 to 10 hours of video. So they put a lot of filler in there.
There was a series on Prime with Al Pacino, and it's about Nazi hunters. It came out like 2 years ago.
I've seen it advertised. I've not watched it, but
I watched season 1. I would say, let's say it's 10 episodes.
mhm.
1 through 9, I was like, okay, I'm into this, exciting. 10th
Yeah.
episode happens, and so 1 through 9, I'm like 4.5 out of 5, enjoying this.
Yeah.
10th episode comes, I'm like 2 out of 5. What a piece of shit! This is a horrible movie. This is a horrible show. It ruined everything.
That was it for you, huh?
Oh, the ending was so bad. I'm like, I've wasted 10 episodes of my life with this turd. It was so awful.
I hate it. I hate it when that happens. But now, have you heard anything about second season of Severance?
No, but I saw Severance. I thought Severance that last episode. I thought that was episode 9. I thought 10 was coming. So I'm like, oh, this is so good, so good. I'm trying to hit them. Where's 10? Where's 10? I can't find it. I was so mad. So I'm on my waiting for that thing.
Oh, I am too. It's got that was one of the I think best series I've seen in a long time. Maybe even since was it Breaking Bad, which I really liked. Now I thought it was I thought it was very original. You get into the characters. I became more interested in the characters as the story is going on. So as opposed to Silo, where I feel like I'm getting less interested in the characters because not much is happening and they seem to be kind of shallow characters. Not necessarily in the way that they're being acted. I'd say more. I put that more on the writing of the story. They just, or maybe the direction of the story. I just don't see them doing much to create an interest in me in these characters or why I should care about these characters. But yeah, Severance. That was good. That was good.
He directed The Cable Man as well with Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey. Yeah.
I
guess that flopped.
Huh?
I guess that flopped, but I liked it. I liked the show.
Very dark. I mean, some really dark humor, but man, Severance is. I remember watching it, and I didn't know if it was going to be a comedy. I'm watching this, I'm like, oh my God, this is 1984. This is real dystopia. And I'm like, these are probably real tactics. I was really, I was mesmerized because it was so disturbing. I'm like, oh, I can see this happening, and this is not good.
Yeah, no. Well, it starts out the main character is crying in his car, and I remember because at first I thought, oh man, I was hoping it was going to pick up from there, But no, it's good. I think it's very well done. It's very dark, but it is very dystopian like. Well, not like it is dystopian, I guess, but it's no, it just kind of it's got its fun. I guess it's got some comic relief in it.
Yeah.
but they're also developing a story. It's like you get to know the characters better as the story is going. And like the way it ended with you find out, I forget the main character's name, but you find out who his wife is.
Oh,
I know,
yeah.
I know. If somebody's watching as a scene, I don't want to spoil anything,. But you're like, holy cow,
Yep. Oh,
Um,
well, in case you were wondering, I watched the bad news. I have bad news, and that is Toxic Avenger Part 3 is definitely not as good as you think it is. So
uh, I won't buy the collection on DVD
it's kind of a letdown. So I don't recommend that one, Travis.
then. Well, who would have thought?
Yeah, yeah. I tell you one thing that I have been watching. Well, sometimes it's for white noise. I'll play some games and relax. But on YouTube, they have all the Tales from the Crypt, the HBO show from the 90s. You remember
Yeah.
that?
Oh yeah. Little
It,
skeleton guy on there.
yeah, yeah. And by the way, that skeleton, what is his name? The Crypt Keeper. That's Chucky the doll.
No kidding.
Yep, they had it made to a
Oh.
nasty little critter. But if you go back and watch some of the shows, I think every big actor from the 90s, even some of the 80s, are in that show. They purposely put cameos and made these parts for them. It's really amazing.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Check that out. So yeah, I'm watching. Oh well, a lot of times on Prime we'll watch like the old Twilight Zones.
Mm.
I love watching the Twilight, especially I've been watching season 4, and I've never seen these are the season where they had an hour-long episode.
Oh,
So
wow.
so I have found that really interesting to watch. And then a lot of times on Saturday nights, that's kind of like our old cop movie night. I get with my boys, we're watching like Dragnet, Adam 12, Hawaii 5 stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I know it's safe with the kids in there. Yeah, and nobody's going, I'm not going to have some guy dropping his pants or two men kissing all of a sudden or, I get somebody in bed with a goat or something like that. So I can watch with the kids and, we can just enjoy it.
Well, there's the old Police Squad. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, from the the people who made Airplane.
Yes,
Right?
the Leslie Nielsen. It's the prequel to the Naked Gun show.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
hilarious! I can't believe they did only one season. It's some of the funniest stuff out there.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Look, we've done an hour of this. This is fun.
Yeah.
Are
It
you
went by pretty fast.
Are you drinking a beer? Are you drinking a water? What are you drinking?
Ginger ale.
Okay.
It's Friday night. Why not?
I'm doing I'm doing the Kill Cliff. Here's a new flavor, Orange Kush, which I would say is the equivalent. It's just as good as the grape.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's got that
And
real.
Grape's your favorite.
These are tied.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, grape. I thought grape was very good. I am partial the pineapple and pepper though. I
Oh
thought
my
that
God.
was.
Yeah, that ginger. Oh yeah, that's so good.
Oh yeah, the ginger. Yeah, that was very good. So.
Well,
Yeah,
I tell you what. Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Well, cool. Look, this has been a lot of fun. Let's do it next week, and I'll talk about products. We didn't talk about the writing. You showed us the book. By the way, where can people find the Book of Answers? Is that on Amazon now?
The Book of Answers, and I've also got a reading journal too, which also gets kids to explain, not just to read. It works as a book tracker, but also to get them to write about what they have read. And again, it's to encourage critical analytical thinking. The prompts are, what'd you like? Why did you like it? Explain what you like, explain what you didn't like and why you didn't like it. It's not brain surgery, but it gets kids thinking about why they think what they think, to form opinions and to know why they're forming those opinions, which, again, like I said, after teaching high school for 11 years, that is, I'd say, pretty severely lacking in a lot of education today. So anyway, they're on Amazon, and my workbooks are under the name or the brand Ridgeback Press.
Oh, I love
Ridgeback
that.
Press. Yeah, I took that from the dog. We have a Rhodesian Ridgeback. So, uh, yeah,
Riker.
I figured workbooks with the Last Marine series with T.S. Ransdell and kids' workbooks are kind of two totally different audiences. So I went with a different name on this one.
That's
But
awesome.
well, thank you. Yeah, I also got I've got a camping journal that I've just uploaded, so I'm waiting to get the draft copy of that. So I hope to have that available within the next week or two. And then my wife and I are working on it. It's a children's Bible study journal. And then I'm going to tackle a children's introduction to the U.S. Constitution.
Oh, wow.
You know, a lot of adults really don't know what the Constitution is, let alone a lot of kids. So I figure why not try to work on something that introduces children to what our Constitution is, what it says, and how our government is supposed to work anyway.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It reminds me of Ron Burgundy. Remember diversity? It's diversity, Ron. Wasn't that an old wooden ship from Civil War? No.
yeah.
No, I love it. I love it. Well, cool. T.S. Ransdell. I'll talk to you later this week, and then or next week, and then we'll do this again next on Friday. Is that cool?
No, sounds good, Kevin. No, I appreciate you inviting me onto your channel here and doing this. Yeah, it's been fun. It was
Yeah,
good
man.
catching
That's
up with
good.
you.
Yeah, buddy. Have a good night. Tell the family I said hey.
All right. You
See
too.
ya.
Yeah, I'll tell the family I said hi.